Hi guys, back for another video. This one I kind of wanted to do, but kind of didn't want to do. I dipped into it a little bit on my last video, but sorry, I just bumped the tripod. A stack of canvases. But yeah, no, I started going into a little bit about this in my last video, and then I was like, well, I should probably go a little bit further. Paranormal stuff, weird stuff, unexplained things that happen in my house that I'm just like, I generally I like talking about and like watching videos like this of other people's experiences. I generally don't like talking about my personal experiences, like especially when I'm in the house, because like when you give it more attention and everything, like it ends up doing more. But I don't think that like whatever is in this house is malicious, malevolent, whatever. I don't think that, and I probably, like, I won't, like, keep dwelling, I can't talk. I won't keep dwelling on this and bringing it up all the time and everything. So, I'll just deal with the consequences for now and meh. But, I have noticed since we moved into this new house, um, odd things that have happened here and like unexplainable things, and it's like I'm I'm not completely new to the whole like paranormal thing. I used to not be a believer. Um, I believe I have like talked about some of my experiences in previous videos, but this is probably going to be a long one, okay? So if you don't like long videos, I'm sorry. Bye. But yeah, I'm going to be a rambler and kind of go over a little bit of all of my paranormal experiences. If I can call them, I don't know. That's what I'm calling them. But I used to not be a believer. I was a real skeptic of all this stuff, like me. Like, it interested me, but like it interested me from an entertainment point of view to where I'm just like, ooh, like I like getting like creeped out a little bit, and like especially like Halloween season, like, oh, gotta watch my Paranormal Witness and all the ghost hunters and stuff, like just to get scared, because it's like the thing, like I enjoy it. Um, but I never took it from like a serious point of view, like someone telling me something happened to them, like, okay, whatever. But yeah, I'll start back to like my first serious, like where I actually acknowledged that there was no other explanation, that it was a paranormal thing that happened to me. Um, a friend of mine, she was a good friend of mine, we would have sleepovers at her house, and she would always tell me how like she got like the creepiest vibes at her house, and she believed in like the ghost activity and stuff. Like she would tell us about this stuff all the time. I'm like, whatever, you're crazy, you're high. Like, we smoked some pot back then. um but like I never took it seriously, and even at the house, like sleeping over and stuff, she would be like, oh, I don't like going into my basement, like it's creepy down there and blah blah blah, it scares me, the ghost, blah blah blah. I'm just like, okay, whatever. She has had a small dog who was like a beagle, and she had two cats, and she would always tell us about how weird they acted and they didn't like going in the basement, blah blah blah. And like weird activities that would happen in the middle of the night. But like I said, took it with a grain of salt until like there was a few instances to where we're over at her house, and like I guess you should say like curiosity, like if someone had a Ouija board, and like my parents, like they always told me just like don't mess with that stuff, like it's not a toy, it's not, they sell it at Toys R Us, but it's not a toy. Like there's like serious things can happen. I'm like, it's a cardboard piece of board, whatever. um but like I have come to learn that is not just the case. Like, um, yeah, you can just buy a Ouija board from Toys R Us, bring it home, slap it down on a table and be like, ooh, and then like scare your friends with it and not take it seriously, and nothing really happened and chalk it up as like, but now I have learned that like if you actually like take it serious and like try like seriously, and everybody is being serious about it, like you can like stuff happens. But like I was still naive to this whole thing, and we were playing with the Ouija board, and like weird things were happening, and I just chalked it up as like, that's whatever, like explained, it's all explainable, like it's just a coincidence, we're hyping each other up for no reason. um but like a lot of different things happened. Like we heard a big boom, we looked outside, and it's the middle of the night, and her computer chair in the living room is spinning, and she's like, oh my god, oh my god. And I'm like, dude, like obviously one of your animals was just sitting in it, and they weren't supposed to be, so when they heard you open your bedroom door, they jumped down, and it was spinning because they just jumped down out of it. Explainable. um a random bouncy ball bouncing down the hall and then going down the stairs into the basement. It's a bouncy ball, like you have animals, and they hit it, were playing with it, and it bounced off of like somewhere high that it was at. They pushed off, it bounced, and then like your stairs go down to the foyer to the front door, and then opposite way going down again. Like it's a bouncy ball, it's gonna bounce, 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 and then eventually it can bounce down the rest of the stair. Explainable. So we never took any of that stuff seriously. And then like, so we got more into it, like playing with the Ouija board and stuff, and just like picking on her, like, guess I'm gonna get you. And she was generally like nervous about it and everything. Like, so we did the whole Ouija board in the room, turned off all the lights, only candles lit, and blah blah blah. And it's like asking it like if there's anybody here to talk, blah blah blah. And I can't remember the name of what it was, who, what, I don't know. But there was one name that kept sticking out, and it just like in her house, in our other friend's house, and it's like I chalked it up as it's like it's one of the other girls moving it, keeping this trend going, like it's following you, blah blah blah. I don't know, I didn't take it seriously. And then we had all the lights out, and we're asking for it to give us a sign that you're here. And the candle, it didn't go out, like, so like no one could have just like blown it out. It actually went from being a bright candle to like damn near being snuffed out, but still being lit. And then it went right back to normal. So it wasn't like it was too full of wax and the wax was drowning out the flame. Um, and then right after that, like we get creeped out, so we're like, oh my god. So we turn on the lights, and then when we turn on the lights and sit back down, it kept saying, turn out the lights again, turn out the lights again, like lights off, lights off, lights off. I'm like, no, we're not gonna do that. And then like we're all sitting down, no one absolutely near this. And she had a Furby, and like back when it was like a real big trend when it first came out, she had one. And by this time, it was years later, the thing like it, the batteries were dead, whatever. We didn't test that theory, but we hadn't heard it moo, we hadn't played with it and everything, it didn't talk or anything. Normally it was like weeble, whatever. But like we're sitting there, and it was like all of a sudden after this thing kept requesting us turn the lights out, turn the lights back out. And we kept saying no, and we were just about like, we were like, all right, we're done with this is bored, let's do something else. The Furby, which was sitting on top of her TV, like flew into her closet door that was open, and it like flew into the closet door and then landed and wedged itself in between the dresser and the closet door. and it was talking, and like it wasn't like my batteries are dying. It wasn't like that. It was like Furby talking, but then like it said like clear as day. It's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. And to the point it freaked us out. So we took the batteries out and we put the Ouija board up. And by putting the Ouija board up, we actually, because we never go into the basement, we didn't want to play with the Ouija board anymore because it creeped us out. Like, there could have been explanations for that, but like the little bit here and there and all her stories and everything, it kind of like freaked everybody out to where we all kind of to an extent was like, okay, maybe we should just stop this. Well, it was on top of that in instances where like she wanted answers, and then we found out that she was playing with the Ouija board by herself, which I learned is like, and like when you are taking things seriously and stuff, like it's not a good idea to play with a Ouija board by yourself. You're more vulnerable, and it can get to the point where like people say that like it is easier and you can like a spirit can get attached to you and actually gain your trust to where like you don't even realize it, but you just opened up a can of whoop ass, opened it up and like get like possessed, so to speak. But we found out like she was the one that started pushing a lot to like, let's play with the Ouija board, let's play with the Ouija board, like where it became like an obsession to her. And then when we found out that she was playing with it by herself, and like the way she would act about it and everything, we were kind of like, okay, we should just stop. Like it's getting weird. Like your behavior is changing. Like you don't seem like yourself when you're like at your house, like in the like around a Ouija board. Like let's just stop. So we basically got up the courage and we took this Ouija board and we packed it up and we hid it in the basement. We put it away to where it's like I said, we didn't like going into her basement. It was just like it did have a creepy, odd feeling down. I mean, it's a creepy, dark, damp basement. I mean, it was like a sitting area set up down there and everything, like carpet walls and everything, like a bathroom stuff, the entrance to the garage, like, but it was still creepy to where it's like we had no interest being down there. So we put this Ouija board down there and we forgot about it, like years. We forgot about it. And then like years later, we're talking and we're all hanging out again and we're like, oh, like I wonder, like, is that Ouija board still down there? And we ended up going down there and we searched high and low and we could not find it. And it was just, I don't know, like weird because we hid this down there because we didn't want to go down there. And then when we went down there searching for it years later, the vibe in the basement had changed. It didn't seem scary anymore. Like we actually ended up turning the basement, and like, I mean, we were young teenagers and we got more into our teenage years, like further teenage years, to where it's like we wanted to hang out, have our own hangout spot and everything. So, but I don't know, the vibe changed in the basement. So we ended up like turning the basement into our hangout spot. Like it was just weird. It was different. But we could never find this Ouija board. Like we just couldn't find it. She swore she hadn't moved it. She talked to her parents. They knew about her Ouija board and everything. And she hadn't told them that like everything that had happened. But they had their own instances of weird stuff happening in the house that was unexplainable. And I believe her dad was on the fence. Her mom was a believer in it, and her pap was a believer in it. Her little brother, he didn't really care to talk about it, but he was too cool for us. But I mean, whatever. He didn't like talking about it. But yeah, so she had asked her parents if any of them had found her Ouija board, and no, they hadn't. So we still don't know what happened to the Ouija board. It's just gone. But So like in all this and everything, like you get the creepy vibes where it's like you talk about something enough to where it's like you start scaring yourself. And I think that's like what was happening to me, where it's like, okay, like I'm getting it in my head that I'm gonna get scared, like that I should be scared. And it's just like watching a scary movie. It's like you're watching a scary movie and then all of a sudden it's like you're in the scary movie because it's like I have to pee. It's dark down there. I'm afraid. Like I still to this day, like I get too scared and I'll ask my husband to walk me to the bathroom. But yeah, but no, like, so you get scared about these things, but I still was like a big skeptic on the whole, like, being haunted, ghosts are real type of ordeal. Um, but that is like all leading up, and I think what helped push me to believing, but was not the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, as to completely solidify my belief. Um, again, years later, we were all hanging out and everything. We didn't really acknowledge ghost stuff, really. We stopped acknowledging the whole Ouija board incident. And we're just hanging out. And it was just me and my girlfriend, like girlfriend. uh, that doesn't matter, whatever. Um, but we were just hanging out and we were watching TV and she got to talking and she's like, you know, I had this like really weird feeling um, in my bathroom earlier today. And it's like, I haven't had that feeling in a while. And it's like, I don't know, like it feels like something weird is happening in my house. And I'm like, oh God. I was like, you're not going on about that ghost crap again. She's like, there really is a ghost. But like me now, she didn't like talking about it. One, because none of us took her really seriously about it. And like talking about it, giving it attention, kind of makes things happen more or makes you more aware of things to where you're like, um, what do they call that? Hyper vigilant to where it's like, what was that? And then you immediately go to, oh, there's no possible. Um, but she started talking about it again, and me being little pain in the ass bitch that I was, I started mocking it and mocking her, making fun of her, just, you know, being a shithead. And like we're getting ready for bed, and I'm just like, are there any ghosts? Or if you're here, make your presence known. Anything? Anything? Nothing? That's what I thought. And like she was totally panicked. Like, don't do that. Like you can't do stuff like that. Like if you want to do something, like do that at your house. Don't do it here. Like she was genuinely upset with me, and I was just like, I'm just making a joke. Chill out. And oh my goodness, um, nothing nothing happened in that moment. And so I'm just like, just you're being paranoid, okay? Like there's explanations for this stuff. Like, yeah, people have gut feelings, whatever. Like you're fine. So like she was upset and like I'm sorry. She's like, well, you know what? Like it's late. Let's just go to bed. It's like, all right, fine. So we get ready to go to bed, and then she presses the button on the TV, and this wasn't like the flat screen TVs now. It was like a tube TV to where it's like when you press the button to turn it off, it goes black, but then it does the flash and then goes black to be completely off. Um, and it did that, and like the bedroom light was already off and everything, and it's like for whatever reason, like I didn't want to stare at the like the flash, you know, because you get those like polka dot thingies or whatever. But for whatever reason, like I was staring at the corner like by her door, and when the second flash happened, I'm like looking, and it's like I'm not looking directly at the corner. I'm looking at the door, and the corner is like a foot away from the door. And in that second flash, I seen it was like a black figure, and I could make out it was wearing almost like a top hat, but it was like the rounded like bowler hat or whatever you call it. And I could not see a face, but like I said, I just seen the outline, and it was a hat, and like he was wearing, obviously had to be like a cloak or like a trench coat. It was something longer because like the whole like the shape of it, you could see that it was like, um, and I panicked and I'm like, what the hell? Because like I know the corner of a room, like there's nothing dark and black in the corner of a room to do something like that. It's like drawings and pictures of all of us and like mainly like white. So um, for it to have like a dark thing in the room, I freaked out. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, turn on the light. So she, not knowing fully what was going on, she ran towards the door, like towards this like dark figure thing that I'd just seen, and flipped on the light. And she said that like I was like pale as a ghost, and I looked like I'd seen a ghost, like, and I was stuttering and I was trying to talk. And as I'm trying to explain to her that there was something in the corner of the room, like it was a black dark figure, like as I'm trying to explain this to her and stutter it out, I shit you not. I have goosebumps now. Um, there was the only way I can describe it is it floated, like this thing came from the ceiling, and it was little, like little. But to me, like out of the corner of my eye, like it was a black feather. The way it floated down, and it was like a black feather, and like there's no black feathers in her room, okay? But it was like a black feather, and it floated down, and like she's staring at me like, and I'm just like, I'm literally shifting my eyes to look at it because I see this motion in like in the corner of my eye. And as I'm looking over, it lands on my arm, like it lands like just right on top of my arm right here, and it burned, like it actually physically hurt me. And I jumped and I'm like wiping, like what the hell? And then like I'm looking, like we both searched all over this bed looking for this black feather or whatever it was it a bug? Like the way it looked, it literally looked like just a floating little feather, and it burned me, and it actually ended up leaving red mark, like a singe mark on my arm. And we were totally freaked out. Like that was at that point that I realized, like, holy shit, like I cannot explain that. um that like that just really happened, and I caused that, like mocking it in there, and it's like, this is real, holy shit. Like I like started to tear up, like it was at that point that I realized like it was real, like that was real. That really happened. And I could not bring myself to stay in their house after that. And it's like someone that was like a complete skeptic, and it's like for something like that to happen to me, like, yeah, no. I could not bring myself to stay in their house. Pardon me, I need to sip. Um, but yeah, after that, every time it was like she would start talking about something like that, I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. But I was a believer. I learned to show a little bit more respect for things that I could not see. Yeah, so that was my first like encounter that I acknowledge as being like real, a real like unexplainable event that I believe was paranormal. Um, I have since not kept in contact with her. I don't even know if she lives in the same house, but yeah. So that happened. Then few years after that, like living at my house, not that, like my mother's house. It was an older house, and then when we moved in, like a few years later, we remodeled it and put a whole new addition onto this place. And pretty much everything of the old house was demolished, torn down, like and replaced and rebuilt. So there wasn't really anything of the old house, but like never, I mean, you get the creepy feelings in a dark room, but like it was never anything like until, and like some people probably think I'm like pathetic for this, but Christmas Day, I had to go to my dad's for a visitation, and I didn't want to go. I don't know. I just, that's a whole nother story. But I didn't want to go. I just wanted to stay home, and my cat was my companion. And when I, why am I crying right now? I left to go to my dad's, and when I came home that night, my mom had told me, she said that my cat somehow got outside and she couldn't find her. And like I was so upset, and like I kept hearing meowing in the woods because we live in a wooded area. I kept hearing meowing in the woods, and I'm like, "Come here, Dash, come here, come on, Dash," and like he never came. And the next morning, my mom, like she left, I think she left to go to work or something, and she found him on the road, and he got hit by a car. Um, but like I was really sad about that because like my life growing up, we weren't allowed to have indoor pets. Like my dad was very strict. Why am I crying? This was so long ago. Um, he was very strict on a lot of things. We lived on a farm, so there were stray cats. They were all outdoor cats, but I loved them. I loved animals. We had dogs, but they were outdoor dogs. And like I wanted a cat that I could have of my own. And my mom had actually got me that cat the year before on Christmas as a surprise for me. And it was my first indoor cat that I was ever allowed. And because my parents had split up, so he didn't make the rules in my mom's house. My mom didn't see a problem with it. But yeah, so after that, when he died, uh, I started seeing, and like you can call me crazy, but we're still partially remodeling the house at that time. And when the like it was the upstairs to the addition, the stairs weren't built yet. Um, but that was where the four new bedrooms were going for me and my brothers. And so we'd put a ladder up there, and we'd go up there, and it was just like the the beam, like the walls were framed in. There was no drywall or anything, but it was like I, my cat would follow me up there, and we'd go and check out our new room. I like, look, like you can overlook the tree out here in the window, like you can see all the birds, you can overlook the roof right here, like this is gonna be our new room, it's gonna be so awesome. After he died, like I'd go up there, and like it was empty obviously because like we didn't live up there yet because it wasn't done, but I'd go up there just to have some like alone time and stuff. And like I swear, like I knew that it was my cat. I just get little instances like out of the corner of my eye of like when I'm coming down the ladder to go down, and then eventually when it became stairs and I'm going down, I'd catch a glimpse of just like the end half of a cat just walking through just behind a wall where I can't see like into the kitchen or whatever. And then I seen, sometimes I caught it going up the ladder, and it's like this isn't like, it wasn't like there's no possible way that like a stray cat got into our house and there's just a random cat wandering around our house. Like it's not possible. And it wasn't like it looked like a real cat, but it was one of those you would only catch glimpses, short glimpses. And um, at first I would try to find it, like thinking that like, maybe somehow there was another cat here somehow. I don't, but I didn't really tell anybody else about it until like my brother seen it, mentioned it, and my mom, and like it's just everybody. And then it got to the point where it's like we'd all seen this cat in our house, and it's not possible. We didn't own any other cats, and it it wasn't my cat, but it didn't look like my cat, but it was my cat. Like I knew, like the way I rationalized it, this cat looked all white and it had a little dash of gray on its chest. And yes, I've seen enough glimpses of it to see this. Um, my cat was all gray with a little dash of white on its chest, and that's where he got the name Dash. Um, so this cat was like the complete inverted colors of my cat, and nobody could ever catch it. Nobody could ever fully see it like long enough to be like, hey, kitty, come here. like I'm pretty sure that was my cat's ghost. And like I totally believed it, to where it was like, well, he's still here, like still keeping me company. Like he meant a lot to me, helped me through a lot of hard times. Um, that's really only like the only thing that happened at my mom's house. My now husband, we moved into his great aunt and uncle's house, into their finished basement. It was kind of like our own little apartment thing down there when we first started dating, and then later again when we got married and had our daughter. But they had told me like her father had passed away in the house from illnesses. And she would give me a heads up, like, I just want to let you know, like, weird things happened in this house. They had a little island countertop in their kitchen, and we'd all, like, that was a gathering point. Everybody would get in there. We just talk, tell how our day was going or whatever. And random, like, you get a penny thrown at you. Like, and it wasn't like tossed at you from someone else. It would drop out of nowhere. Bobby pins, safety pins, but it was mainly pennies, and they would just drop. And she would joke about it, be like, well, if I sit here long enough, maybe I'll have $1, like I'll make some money. And like we joked about it. So I never like, so I knew that, and she explained to me that like her dad, he was a trickster, so she believes that it was him playing jokes on everybody. And like that was about the extent of it for a while, until they went on a family trip for the holidays to Florida, and they were going to be gone for like 2-3 weeks or something. And at the time, now my husband, we would watch the house for them, keep an eye on their dog, and we would set up in the living room and stay up like all night watching TV, just relax, like we were night owls. And we kept hearing like a door slamming, and it was like loud enough to know it was our house, but quiet enough to be where it's like, where is it coming from? Checked all the screen doors, because it was windy outside and everything, so we're like, none of the screen doors. I'm sorry, they were still home that day. They were leaving the next morning early, so we were already ready, watching the house, whatever. They were there though. But checked all the screen doors to make sure that they were latched and that wasn't the wind blowing them to where they were going to break and everything. And check everything out, couldn't figure out what it was. And then just as we get back, sit down, get relaxed, watching our movie, it would happen again. And it got to the point to where it was like, they have a front entry living room, like a sitting room, I guess you call it, and then the living room. The sitting room has pictures. It's like all Indian stuff, like pictures and figurines and stuff all over the walls. The slamming door, it was so hard that you could actually hear the picture frames coming up off the wall and slamming back down again. Like it was that bad. And we're like, what the hell is going on? So as we're investigating, like, what is that coming from? Like his aunt whips open the door and she sleeps like a rock. She whips open the door and she's like, what is all that noise? And we're like, we don't know. Like, we're trying to figure it out. And just as she's talking to us, like, we have a straight view of her door from the living room. And like, we're standing 5 foot from her. She's standing in her doorway. And then to her right, to left of us, is a guest bedroom door. And then like a teeny tiny little hallway, like it curves around. And there's the bathroom and then another guest room. And the back guest room, that's where her father passed away at. Just as we're standing there, the back bedroom that her father passed away in, that bedroom door, it slammed again. And like at this time, stuff came up off the wall and like fell. And when she realized that that's what it was, like we all went in there to check just to make sure, like, you know, that there wasn't a window left open or something and it was causing a draft. I don't know. But either way, she went in there and she like started like sternly like, you knock it off, all right? It's enough. I'm trying to sleep. And walked into her bedroom and she's like, it probably won't happen again now. She walked into her bedroom and went to bed, and then we went back to the living room and we didn't hear it again. So yeah, over the year, I think it was a little bit over a year that we stayed there, living in the basement. Our bedroom was right underneath the living room area, and they had carpeting in the living room area, carpeting in the sitting room area, but the connecting dining room hallway type thing in between was wood floor, and then the kitchen was wood floor. But laying in bed, it came to be a very common occurrence to where you would hear somebody walking boom 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 into the kitchen and go back in. For the longest time, I was just like, oh, it's one of them. But after living there long enough and being underneath someone, like you start to recognize their walk sound. So it's like, oh, that's Uncle Bob. Oh, that's Aunt Donna. But at night, you could hear, there was two distinct ones that you could hear that you knew were not them. And at first, I was genuinely upset because I'm like, no, this is them. But the one, it was clearly like a walk, a drag, like a leg, like kind of shuffling on the floor, and then a higher pitch that you're not gonna hear that, like a higher pitched tap. And I'm just like, you could hear it distinctly go from the back bedroom all the way through. Like, you couldn't hear it on the carpet. You could hear the squeaks of the floor, but then you can hear the tap, walk, drag, tap, walk, drag across the wood floor and then into the kitchen. And then it would just stop. You never hear anything go back. That was one. And when I told her about that one, she said, that's my dad. They don't go down to the basement a lot. They don't hear that stuff. But she said that her dad had a bad leg and he walked with a cane. So there's that. The other one was a sound. It sounded like a child. Like a child that would like walk fast in one spot, and then like sometimes it was just like you could hear a full-on run where they're trying to like just run quickly from one area to the other. You can hear that. And his aunt and uncle were old, like they're not running, okay? If there's not fire or an emergency, they're not running, okay? So they weren't running in the middle of the night. And well, the next part I'll explain that. So it's not like a child like running And that one was like a running back and forth through the house. It would be like 4 or 5 times. And it's like, this is ridiculous. I can't freaking sleep. What the hell? And then it would get to the point to where that running sound would turn into where it was like directly over our bedroom in the living room. You could just hear them just stomp, 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 stomp. And it's like, what the hell? Like, to where when it first started happening, the first time I heard that, I ran up the stairs and I'm like, what is going on? Like, getting ready to yell, like, what? Like, is there emergency? Like, what's going on? Or just like, is somebody being a butthead? And then find out, like, no, like, they have not figured out who this childish one is. Um, but that's that. That's there. Like, we've had very weird, creepy instances, just like the pennies, things going missing, and then like a month later they'll show back up once you stop looking for it, and it's like in a spot where it would absolutely never be. Um, but yeah, so that was instances there, and then we moved here. And this is where it's like I don't like talking because I still live here. Like I didn't talk about the things that happened at his aunt and uncle's house while we were there, except very briefly to find out like from his aunt or uncle, like, hey, like, did you hear this? Like, was that possibly you? Like, but we just learned not to talk about it there. But I don't like talking about stuff like that here because I still live here. But we moved here at the beginning of spring. When we first moved here, I didn't have any odd feelings or anything. But the main thing that was pointed out to me is our daughter. Never really any issues before, but all of a sudden she did not want to be left alone in this house under no circumstance. She like absolutely terrified. And like by leaving alone, I mean like she's sitting in the living room watching her movie and I go to the bathroom to go pee. Or she's sitting here and I take the dog outside to go to the bathroom. Or like start the car, like, and by the time I'd come back in, she would be hiding under our dining room table in the dining room. She did not like being alone in this house. Like, she's gotten a little better about it, but the only place that she feels completely comfortable is in her bedroom. And we try not to have her like spend a lot of time in there. Like, moving from the different houses, we would like where we lived in a bedroom. And it's like it's not healthy to just be like using your bedroom as a couch, as a sitting area, like, you know what I mean? Like, we moved into a house, we have a living room now. Like, you have your bedroom, yes, but like we have a living room now. Like, get out of the room. Like, but so it has gotten a lot better. And but she still is scared. If I'm going outside to smoke a cigarette, she will still ask if I will leave Daisy, our dog, inside to keep her company. Otherwise, she has to have one of 3 of her stuffed animals with her in the house, which baby bear, it's one of the teeny beanie babies. It's a green bear with a shamrock on it. That's her baby bear. Then she has a puppy. His name is Puppy. And it's just a floppy black stuffed animal that a friend gave us to her. Or gave to her. And a bunny. And the bunny, it's just like, it's almost, I don't know, it's kind of like terry cloth, I think is what they call it. But it's, no, it's like washcloth material, like with the little dibbly thingies, whatever you call them. But it's made out of that, and it's only like this tall, and it's a raggedy little thing, but She loved it. Great her great grandpa, my husband's stepfather's mom, um, she when she comes to visit her, she actually will watch her sometimes here and there. Focus. She'll watch her and still won't focus. She'll watch her here and there for us when we're in town, visiting to hang out with his mom and stepdad. And she came home with this. I guess it was it was one of her puppy's toys. Or well, not puppy, her dog. But he like she got it for him, but he didn't. I mean, it wasn't really technically supposed to be for a dog, but anyway, she absolutely had to have it. Spoiled rotten. She gets whatever she wants from everybody, and so she gave it to her, and it's become like what would you call that? Like her comfort. I can't think of the word right now. Um, but like her security blanket. That's like what it is. It's this bunny, and she she names it Bunny. It's really cute. It ended up in the dryer, and one of the ears accidentally got ripped off, so I fixed it for her. I mistakenly screwed the ear on backwards. She doesn't care. She thinks it's perfect just the way it is. She's a sweetheart. Um, but yeah, so I fixed it for her, and she loves it. There was another instance. What happened? Somehow this bunny got completely engorged in oil. I don't know how, like olive oil. But she gave it to me. She's like something, and it was olive oil. Like it was weird. Um, but so that was a project in itself, getting that out of it. But she absolutely had to do it. So mommy does what she can. But she has to have one of three of these stuffed animals with her. She sleeps with them when she goes to her grandma's house. She brings them there. When she goes to her nana's house, she brings one of them there. Like she's only allowed to bring one with her when she goes out, but she has all three of them when she's at home sleeping. Um, and it's become a thing to where it's like, okay, I'm not searching for these every night when you absolutely have to. Like she won't go to sleep without them. So it's like, okay, well, how about we leave Puppy and Bunny? They can stay company in your bed. Don't take them out of your bed so we know where they're at. My hair. And you can bring Baby Bear with you. Baby Bear being bright green. It's a little thing, but it pops out. It's easier for me to be like, bam, there it is. Grab it and go. Um, so it's became a rule. She's only allowed to bring Baby Bear outside of her room so that we don't have to search for it because the other two are like more inconspicuous, like blah blah, whatever. But we always, like, no matter what, and I will leave, like, she leaves it in her room, and like sometimes it'll even be me like, no, you know, put it back in there, put it back in there. And one, if not both, Puppy and Bunny are always put in random spots throughout the house. And it's like we are always searching for them. And she said, I'm like, Mom, I didn't. I left him right in my bed. And she likes to swaddle them to where she, like she's got a baby, one of her baby blankets, and she will actually tuck them into her bed in their own little bed in the corner, and that's where they stay. And it's like they don't really move from there unless they get moved. And like it could be her, it might not be, but it's weird instances. But yeah, so there's that. She don't like being alone in different areas of the house. Um, then she started, and this one thankfully has stopped. Um, knock on wood. But she started talking about like, Mommy, there was this boy, and he was trying to get me to leave my room, and like middle of the night, like he's trying to get me to leave my room, and he wants to hurt me, I think. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, are you sure he wants to hurt you? She's like, I don't know, but he scares me. He said he killed himself. And I'm like, excuse me? My daughter, she's 5. Uh, we don't, like, we don't talk about stuff like that. I had a friend of mine and my husband's, that he took his own life, but we don't, we kind of dampen that. We don't talk about that stuff. So when she said that, I'm like, honey, like, what are you talking about? Um, Sorry, I'm getting fidgety now. But so like we tried to like keep her calm about that and like keep an eye out, like what the hell, like, and I at first I thought like, well, maybe it is our friend like here, but like I don't understand why he would be trying to like scare her or coax her out of her bedroom. Like this, it creeped me out. Okay, it really creeped me out. Like I ended up getting some sage incense, and burned them throughout the house. Like I don't really believe in stuff like that, but it was like if it can help, um, then I'll give it a try. Stuff like that kind of has dwindled down a little bit, but while she was talking about seeing this boy, um, my husband and myself both, before even talking to each other about it, had seen glimpses to where it was like, did somebody just run past? And it's like short enough to where it's like our daughter's height. And it's just like a glimpse of like, it's a kid running. You don't hear that, but you can definitely see it like right across the walkway, and you're like, and then later on he had said, oh, I've seen a couple of things like that too. He's like, but I like, obviously, like we don't talk about that stuff. And I'm like, okay. It's like, well, I was like, our daughter is talking about this boy that supposedly has killed himself, and she's afraid that he wants to hurt her, and he's trying to coax her out of her room. Um, and basically just like we did the sage thing. It's kind of dwindled down to where it's like it's nothing, and it's like we've always told her like if you're ever scared like and something like that happened, just like yell at them like go away, leave me alone, and hug your babies or bunnies and call out for mommy and daddy, and we'll come in there. And she's done that a couple times. She's had a couple times to where it's weird nightmares to where she's explaining like weird things that she should not be able to explain, like things in her imagination. Like we don't allow her to watch stuff. Like she watches her cartoons, and we're even like, I used to yell at my mom like, come on mom, it's a cartoon, and like never understood why she wouldn't let us watch certain things until I got older and had my own child, and then watched those in a whole new light. Like, and I'm just like, wow, like Caillou is not allowed in this house. No, I will not allow some whiny little brat to teach my daughter how to whine like that, because his voice is so annoying. Oh my goodness. Um, but yeah, so she's not exposed to stuff like that. Like I'm not gonna be one of those sheltering mothers. But I also know that like and understand that like there's a time and a place for everything, and right now is not. She's too young to fully understand stuff like that. Like as it comes and goes, like if there's an instance that pops up like now with like her talking about this boy that killed himself, and like have to explain to her, and when she asks about her uncle Mike, our friend, and I just kind of like explained to her like he was just decided that it was time to go to a better place, and like not really get too much into detail because I mean she's 5. But yeah, so instances like that were happening, and we kind of just like tried ignoring it as best as we could after like we did the sage incense. I don't know if that worked or not. I don't know if it's gonna be actual sage, whatever. Like I said, I'm ignorant to all that stuff. I don't know. Um, but it did die down. And I keep repeating myself. I'm sorry. She still is nervous here and there about being alone. Excuse me. Not as much as it used to be. Ooh, I gotta get my charger. Hold on one second. And we're back. Sorry, I didn't realize my phone was getting low. What was I at? Yeah, so she's not as nervous. She's gotten a lot better with being alone here. But for whatever reason, and not from like talking about it or anything, but for some reason, there has been getting like more activity in our house, and not so frequent like daily. Oh my gosh. But like like more frequent now that we've noticed that like back when we first moved in. Um, um, like I said in the previous video, uh, I took my daughter to school. Here. I took my daughter to school, and then when I came back home, I was sitting around for a minute, and then I went to take my dog out to go to the bathroom before I had to leave for work, and I heard, "Mommy," and no, actually, it was more like, "Mommy," like my daughter questioned, like she needs something, and I was literally about to respond back, like it sounded like my daughter. Um, just about to respond back, "Want baby?" And then I'm like, wait a minute, like she's at school. um, and my dog, like she heard it too. Like she was standing right next to me, ready to go outside. And when it happened, like she looked back down the hallway towards her bedroom too. And normally when she hears my daughter calling out for somebody, she usually goes in there too. Like she's kind of like Nanny from Peter Pan. Um, she goes in there like, "What's up?" She didn't go down there either. Probably would have been more freaked out. But uh, when that happened, like I don't know, like I don't know if it would have been like a malicious thing, or I'm getting freaked out again. Um, but like this is not the first time I've heard like a child, or like, no, I think it's actually only been children's voices I've heard. Um, but it's not the first time I've heard. Oh, this was such a bad idea. It's not the first time I've heard stuff like that, but this was like the most clear. Um, Stop it. Just look like an emotional wreck. Um, First time I actually heard like clear voice that I literally thought was my daughter calling out for me. I freaked out and I got super nervous, and like to the point of like tears. I went outside and I smoked a cigarette, and I'm like texting my husband like, "Are you busy? Can I talk to you?" And like my husband is like really good at calming me down, and like putting my mind at ease and stuff. So I talked to him for a minute, and I'm literally like, I'm fighting back the tears then, and I'm like, I'm doing it now too. But like it's just another thing when it's like something so unexplainable, like it like literally uses your own daughter's voice to try to trick you. Like I don't know what the reasoning was behind it or what, but it just it's just obviously it's a feeling of uneasiness. Um, I left after I talked to my husband. He's like, "You're like everything's gonna be okay. Just calm down. Like, why don't you like get out of the house for a little bit?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I needed to run some errands and get some groceries for dinner, and so I went out, and our local sorry our local grocery store had just closed down. So it was only a few things I needed, so I went to the Dollar General, which they've amped up their grocery supplies. since the grocery store had closed down. So I was in there and I seen this. I still haven't taken it off. Nope, I'm not going to. It's just, it smells so good and it's shedding. It's a cinnamon broom, which they only put it out like around Christmas time, and like I've seen them before, but I didn't really know like the backstory. But like most things, it's like they all have like a, whether it's just like a Hallmark thing, but like some things like they have like a meaning behind them, a tradition behind or whatever. Um, but before like I did the research on it, I bought it because I'm like, I love the smell of cinnamon. It smelled really good. It wasn't completely overpowering like a lot of them were, because I don't know if like because it sat out for so long, but it was on sale for a quarter. And so I picked it up, like for whatever reason I felt compelled, like I wanted it, but I didn't need it. And then it was only a quarter. I found out, and I got it. And then I brought it home, and for whatever reason I'm just like, there's gotta be some meaning behind a cinnamon broom. Like even back in the day, like they wouldn't waste that much cinnamon to make a broom to sweep their floors with. And like so I looked it up, and like it's got like I guess like in like the whole witchery, I don't know what you call that stuff. um it has a meaning in there, and then like the like spiritual and supernatural, like like crystals and all that stuff, it has a meaning. And like back in the day, like superstitions, like old wives tales or whatever, they would use this, and it's like a cinnamon bezel, I think it's called bezel. I could be wrong completely. That's just the name that I'm recalling right now. Besom, maybe it was a besom, but it's a broom made out of cinnamon, and they would use it. They'd either hang it over their doorway so that when people walked in, like it would keep the negative intent, negative energy out of their house. Um, and they would actually like use it like to clear out a house when you like they move in or something, or like clear it of negative space, but actually like using it like not actually like sweeping up a pile of dust and dirt and like taking it out the door, but like they would use it in the motion, sweep the walls, sweep the floor areas, like sweep out the room, to sweep out the negative energy. And they would use the broom to like sweep somebody, like sweep you with the broom, to give you good luck, and like wealth, I think. I don't know. I'm totally ignorant to all of the facts, information behind that. Just what I'm recalling off the top of my head. But so I thought that was weird that like I just like I was compelled, like I got it, and then find this research that like it could help in my instance. So I was like, so here it lays. I got hung. This is basically like, it's not exact, but the focal point of our house, the living room, and almost pretty much the center of the actual house. Um, I don't know why I did that, like, because they were saying to hang it over a door, but to me, hanging a broom over a door was like weird. But again, I got a random broom made of cinnamon hanging on my wall in my living room. It goes with the rest of the random conversational pieces I have laying around. But yeah, so that's what I did. I put it like, I felt like, okay, well, maybe it'll give me better protection. It's in the center of my house. Like, this is where my daughter spends most of her time when she is home, is in our living room. Um, but yeah, so I did that. And I will, uh, I do have to say, after I got this, I don't know if it's just a coincidence or if it just like, it's not as frequent that I've noticed now. I haven't had any weird instances since then. I know that um, the night before the instance, hearing this thing call out for me in my daughter's voice that night, and it was like 2 or 3 nights previous, all in a row. I woke up a lot in the middle of the night, like with feelings of uneasy. Like sometimes I would wake up and like this isn't out of the norm for me. Like I will have random bouts of insomnia or like sometimes just trouble sleeping. When I was younger, there were times to where it was a common occurrence for me, like for weeks at a time I would just randomly wake up 4:04 in the morning. Um 3:03 in the morning. Um I don't know what the significance of it is, but like that stuff that's happened to me back in the day, and over all those experiences, I've made it a point to check and see what time it is when I wake up, so that if it does start happening frequently, that like I can see the pattern and be like try to figure out why. Um, but the last couple of nights that I wasn't sleeping well and waking up, like I wasn't able to fall asleep. Like I did everything in my power, like trying to fall asleep, and that's usually like when I start having like bouts of insomnia. Usually, like I kind of have been, but not really serious enough that I would think like that would bring on insomnia. Not like before, like when I like knew like my insomnia was gonna happen, like the reasons, like I knew the reasons. Um, but I would try to go to sleep, and it's like it wouldn't be until like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning that I would actually finally fall asleep at some point. And my alarm set for 6:30 in the morning to wake up, and wake up enough before I have to wake up my daughter to get her ready for school. My husband, his alarm is set for 3:30, and then he's usually out the door by 4:30, depending on what time he's got to be at work. Um, but I specifically the night before, okay, we'll rein it on that real quick. The night before this whole mommy incident, um, I woke up that night and I heard crying. And I don't know why, like the house could, like my husband could be watching the TV, and I mean I could be watching a YouTube video with my headphones in, and I can hear my daughter crying. And it's like I'll take it off, and I'm like, yeah, I did hear, and I'll go, and it like I don't have that good of hearing. I mean, I do. I've got normal hearing. My husband has terrible hearing. but but I've always like I don't know why, but like I'll hear it, and then I'll go check on her like what's wrong, baby. Um, I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard this, and it was real faint, but it was like clearly to me it was like my daughter was crying, and not like full on sobbing. It was more like the whimpering, scared, sad, like she had a bad dream and she was afraid because it was all dark. Um, so I got up and I went in there to check on her. I'm like, "What's the matter, baby?" And she didn't respond. And I'm like, at this point, like I get paranoid. I get overly paranoid about things to where it's like, I mean, when my daughter was first born, like for shit, almost 8 months after she was born, I still in the middle of the night would wake up and I would just have to sit there and watch her and like feel to make sure that she's still breathing. Like, um, but she didn't answer to me, and like I was so positive, like sure that I had just been woken up to her crying, so I had to check, and she has a bunk bed now. It's a loft bed, so she sleeps in the top bunk, and then below is just her desk and shelves and toys and stuff. So I climbed up there and I crawled into her bed, and I'm like, "Baby, are you okay?" And she didn't respond, and I realized she's sleeping. Like it's not, she wasn't crying. Like there's no tears on her face. She didn't just fall back asleep and cry. She like, it was not her. So I'm always like nervous when stuff like that happens, and I don't like this house is like really creepy at night. Like our bedrooms are to the back side of this house here, all in a cluster. And then there is one, which is going to be my craft room, one bedroom clear on the other side of the house by itself. And then a bathroom on the other corner by itself. And then the kitchen's on that back half. And then the living room. And then the little hallway goes back into the 3 bedrooms in the back. At night, this place, it's like, it's creepy in the dark. Like, it's an old house. It was built in 1955. So this was such a bad idea. So like there's natural house settling noises, and but it's just creepy. But like for whatever reason, no matter what, like when I wake up and I have bad feelings like that, I usually take that like as a like, you know, there's your mind is telling you you need to like you need to see something, or you need to like double check something, and it's like I cannot like go back to bed and go back to sleep with unfinished business like that. And this lighting is so washing me out. Natural lighting. um but like as creepy as it is, I cannot help it. And so like after I found out she was still sleeping, it's like I had to walk around my house. And like one of the things, like my dog, I've noticed since living here that um she never leaves my side. Like never. Like if I'm not home and my husband's here, he's like she lays on the floor waiting for you to get home. And then like I get home and she's at the back door waiting for me. I go to the bathroom, she's trying to follow me in there, and if I shut the door, like she's waiting outside the door for me. Um, she follows me when I have to do my nightly checks, and we always make sure the front door is all the way closed. Make sure the side door to the carport is locked and it's closed. And then walk through the kitchen, and then I have to go through the back bedroom that's all by itself back here, which is creepy. Go through there, and there's another side door back there. Make sure that's locked and closed. And then to our back door that leads into the backyard. Make sure that one's closed. Walk through the whole house. Make sure I don't see anything. Look out the back window to make sure like cars are all good. Everything's good. Once I finally do that, then I can go to sleep. But I'm still like, why was I compelled to wake up? Like, why am I hearing my daughter crying? It's not really her crying. That was the night before. And then the couple nights before that, it was a kind of a lot of the same thing. There was no significance, like same times that I was waking up. My doggy's all curled up in a ball holding her bottom legs. So cute. Yeah, so there was no significant timing that I woke up at. It was all different times. And never for the same instance, like, I heard loud noises to where it sounded like, almost like someone was trying to open the back door. And obviously for that, like, I'd jump up and I either grab one of two things, the baseball bat sitting next to the bed, or my 9mm, and go investigate, like, is someone trying to break into my house? Like, I don't know this area. There have been I haven't seen like a whole lot of like home invasion or anything, burglaries or anything here, but in businesses I've seen surprisingly. So I don't know, but I always better safe than sorry. And there's nothing like, and usually like my dog is very sensitive to sounds like that, to where she's usually the one to like go tearing for the front door, the side door, whichever, where she heard it from, and bark like crazy. And she didn't. I actually woke her up because I went out jumping up doing that. And then I've had plenty of other instances too, to where she's woke me up, and it's like she's afraid to leave the room, or like either that, or she's like does not want to leave us to protect us, but she definitely clearly hears something. And then we do our nightly walks. A lot of that, but I think a lot of that too is it's like being in a new environment, and I don't think it should be really happening now. Like, we've been here long enough to be settled in, but I don't know, like, it's just hypervigilance, I guess. And I am so washed out. I'm pale as a ghost. um but yeah, no, there's been a lot of instances, and one, aside from the mommy one, the other ones, I can chalk those up as like my dream, and I just like woke up from something. I don't know, I was too hot, I was too cold, something, and I was still in my dream, and I'm hearing crying, but not remembering that I was dreaming about someone crying, or hearing what sounds like someone walking through my house. I've heard a few times where it sounds like a child playing, like laughing, kind of, but that's like real faint. Like I said, the most clearest thing was the mommy, and that scared me. um, the other most significant thing, I don't like talking. Our friend, my husband's friend, I won't get into like huge details with that, but he killed himself a few years ago, three years ago. Um, New Year's Day. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning after a New Year's party with everybody. Um, and it came as a shock to all of us. Uh, that was our first instance, both mine and his, and a large group of our circle of friends that like had ever experienced suicide before, um, and like that feeling of like helplessness, because your friends are all like blaming themselves, like, what could I have done to do better, what could I have changed. We've since learned like the circumstances behind why he killed himself. Doesn't really make it any easier, but in a way, like, we understand why. But anyways, he was a good friend of ours. Like, we actually considered him our daughter's uncle. Like, he helped us out so many times. It was a really good friend. But there was a lot of turmoil, like, with the friends. Like, we made a lot of new friends. We lost a lot of those new friends. Like, the truth comes out. Like, it brought a lot of people together to quickly weed out the ones that were just but definitely a learning experience. But throughout all that turmoil, a lot of things, whatever, he meant a lot to us and the family before things got like bad, weird, different, I don't know, messy. They did give us, a couple of us, like, some of his belongings to remember him by. And yeah, I'll show you. Hold on a second. All right, let's see if I can do this. Okay. Oh, so appropriate. So this is a shadow box. It's even like got the light on the side of it and everything. It's kind of like a memorial box for him. One of his favorite shirts that like we remembered in when like we all went, like, just memories. They gave us this, and then this was one of the flags that he used to hang from his truck. The memorial bracelets, the bracelets his father gave us, and a few other things in there. So I made this up. I had all this stuff for this before we moved here, but I finally finalized the shadow box and put it together and was able to finally display it once we moved here. And I thought that, like, it was a good memorial for him. It's a, I don't know, it's something that we'll never forget. But we put this together, and like, I kind of, I did it, like, it's hard to see. It's hung by two nails on the back. Um, well, the nails are in the wall, and then it's got like the picture frame hooks on it. But they're slightly, like, ever, I'm doing a horrible job showing this. It's ever so slightly, you can't even tell, just a little bit crooked, like maybe like an eighth of an inch, maybe a little bit more, I don't know. Just a little bit crooked, but I was like, I can't keep putting holes in this, but like, it's fine. Um, and then it's got the light on the side. That really never goes on unless we're actually like showing someone, like explaining what it is. And then it opens up, and I'm not gonna open it up. Before the whole mommy incident and the bad sleeping and everything, and this was clear, like I said, he took his own life New Year's Day, technically. It was a few months back. This is the end of January now, so it wasn't anywhere near then to like contribute like, oh, that's what this. I walked in here, and this has been hanging here since we moved here, and it's a fairly out of the way. Like, people, you'd have to walk up to it, like move some stuff, move the chair and everything. Like, the chair, it's messy. To get to this, and but we walked out here one morning, and the shadow box, it was hanging open. Everything was still inside of it. Like, there's things in there that are like precariously like stuffed in there because like that's its place. And they're not really secured, but they could have fallen out. Everything was still in its place, but the door was wide open, and it's on two nails up there. It was hanging by one nail. Like, the other nail was up there. And it's a thick, like the jaggedy picture frame hingy thingies on the back of it. It's those, like, so it's deep set in there. Like I said, this is because of the, like, it being, oh God, that scared the shit out of me. Like, I just got the metallic taste in my mouth. Hold on one second. Okay, all right. I'm not gonna mess with that anymore. I swear, after this, I don't want to talk about this stuff ever again. I was trying to show you that, like, the little bit of wiggle that is there, that's from the two screws being just ever so slightly, like, off. So I have to actually, it's nothing to make it, like, open up on its own or anything. Like I said, it's been hanging there forever. Like, as I was trying to show you that, like it literally, like, it just, there was like a hard force, like something just pushed it. uh yeah. I literally have pinned the needles all over it, and have that, like, the metallic taste in your mouth. Like, I don't know, I'm like, right before, like, when I know something is like bad going to happen, like if you see a car accident happen, like something bad, like a baby getting ready to fall, like, I get this, like, I don't know, I call it the taste of fear. Like, it's like this metallic taste that just comes to your mouth immediately. um yeah, that, anyways, yeah, there's no possible way for that to do that and to be open. Like, it's magnetized to keep it closed, and it's like a fairly good strong magnet. it doesn't open easily, and it's not like it has a little handle for you to grab onto to open it. It's literally just closed and magnetized so that it seems like a seamless frame. Um, so you have to actually kind of hold both sides to get it to open. And we've never had that problem before. But yeah, since then, like for whatever reason now, it won't stay shut. Um, so we literally had to like tape it shut, and I mean it's stayed on the wall like up until now, and I'm messing with it, and then it did whatever that was. I don't know. Um, I just want to cry. uh, but yeah, that's one of the other like weird, unexplainable things that have happened. That I don't I don't know if that was something here or if that the light. I'm sorry. The I was trying to use an artificial lighting, but it's just like it doesn't help. And I got the window open and the natural lighting, like it was overcast and was supposed to rain, and now it's like good morning, afternoon, whatever time it is. I don't know. Yeah, no. So weird thing. Wait, no, what's that song? Strange things are happening to me. I butchered that. I'm sorry. I need to go smoke a cigarette. I'm. My heart's pounding. I feel like I'm gonna puke. And I still have pricklies all over my skin. This was probably a really bad idea, but I don't know. I wanted to get it out there so that I can remember later on. I'm going through my YouTube channel and be like, oh yeah. My memory has been getting a lot worse, so I am so pale right now. Not that I want my face to be like showing nice and clear though, because I've been trying to give up on the makeup for a while, and holy shit, an hour and a half. Give up on the makeup for a while because I've been like, I don't know, breaking out, stressing out, freaking out. But yeah, I don't know why things are like all of a sudden like starting to get more frequent or like happen at all again. Like things stopped from what I noticed, and like, yeah, that was the other thing I was gonna say. All these times when I called my husband and I was telling him like that I heard my daughter say tat like mommy, he was telling me, he's like, yeah, you know, I've been hearing some stuff too. Like I've been waking up these last couple nights. He's like, I didn't know what it was, but you know, I've been hearing things, and he's like, but my hearing's not that good anyways. Like I don't know. I always make fun of him. Like he's damn near deaf. He's got really good selective hearing. But there's been several times to where like, and even before we moved here, they'd be like, what? And I'm like, I didn't say anything. And like so his hearing, it's like half the time it's like, well, if someone isn't acknowledging that they're speaking to him, he doesn't acknowledge that you're speaking to him. So if he hears something and he is like not 100% sure, then he just like chalk it up as like, okay, I didn't hear that. I don't know what that is, but he said that he's been hearing different things and like involving like children noises, laughing, and then he just like, yeah. I totally feel sick to my stomach now. Sweep the negative energy. This poor thing is like shedding everywhere. I got pieces of it sitting here, but it smells so good. I love it. That too, like in this house, I have smelled random things like, I'm so light here. I'm trying to put it this way. Let's see. Nope. Whatever. I'm a ghost now. I say that and I shouldn't. Literally told a story about mocking shit. I like, the smells of your house. Like, oh, that certain smell. Oh, that's my laundry detergent, or that's something I was baking, or the smell of your house. There's a few times I walked into the house and I've smelled like a strong perfume. Like, I really like the smell. I wish I knew what it was because I like it. I would wear it. There was a few times that I smelled to where like it almost smells like strong cinnamon, like apple cinnamon, like someone just got done baking apple crisp, apple pie. I don't know. It wasn't like, I guess that warm apple cinnamon smell. It wasn't like that. It was like a crisp. I'm crazy. I'm trying to explain scent. I smelled that a couple times, but like only in the back room back there. There's a lot of times I get like the smell of like pipe tobacco. I love the smell of like pipe tobacco. But as far as I know, like there's like, we rent this house. The landlord, he's owned this place for like almost 30 years now, and there's been no smoking. Like, I guess the previous tenants, the back bedroom that way, you can smell it. They closed off the back bedroom and they had a fan in the window or whatever, but he would smoke pot back there. Like, you can smell that, like, well, used to. Like, I've since gotten the majority of that smell out of there. Like, you don't walk in there and it hits you in the face like, did you just get done smoking, dude? But as far as I understand, like, the landlord has told me, like, wintertime, the back bathroom on the other side of the house, clear over there, they had the exhaust fan. They'd open the window and they'd have the exhaust fan because it's like a literal, like, smaller than a jail cell bathroom. Like, I think it's like literally like 3 foot by like 6 foot, and a half of that is taken up by the sink, the toilet, and then the cupboard area for the main water supply. But they'd go in there and they would smoke during the winter time. And he's like, if you do that back there, like, it won't go throughout the house. But from my understanding, this house has been a no smoking house, like, as long as the landlord's had it for 30 years. So why I'm smelling pipe tobacco at random times, I don't know. And to know that smell too, like, I smoke cigarettes. I smoke outside, obviously, but like, smokers, like, even non-smokers could probably smell it even more. But like, smokers, like, you can distinguish between the different smells. Like, oh yeah, that's not a Marlboro Light. That's not a Marlboro Red. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's a different that's a different tobacco. So I've smelled that. I'm trying to think of other instances. I've had random things like disappear, and then I'll find them in a different spot. That you can always like, oh, did I accidentally put that somewhere else and not? My energy is like really drained right now. Holy shit. I just realized that. Like, I was like nervous but kind of excited to tell this story, and now I'm just like, could also be because it's been an hour and 34 minutes I've been rambling on. I look like shit. Oh, crap. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna wrap it up now, finally. But yeah, that's my backstory into my paranormal circumstance, into whatever you call it. I don't know, activity. It sounds corny when you say that now, ever since the movies came out. Paranormal activity. Um, but yeah, that's what's happened. I'm sure after today, all this talking about it, giving it attention and everything, I'm sure something else is going to happen. But I'm just going to end up having to ignore it and deal with the consequences of talking about it. Um, but yeah, so that's that. Um, if you sat through this whole video, like if you watched any of my other videos, obviously you've probably figured out by now that I can't keep them short and simple. I can't. Did you just fart, dog? I heard that. All right. Well, yeah, so stuff like that. Like, I didn't need to tell you, but I did anyways. Made it longer. All right, I'm gonna get going now because I'm gonna go outside and get some fresh air away from this fart and smoke a cigarette. It's the fresh air. All right, now I need a refill on coffee and I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta do some house cleaning. All right. Thank you guys. If you sat through the whole thing, you have any creepy things, I love hearing about stuff like this. I love watching videos about stuff like this. I don't like talking about my personal experiences because I get more paranoid and or things start getting more active. But yeah, if you've had any like creepy instances and stuff like that, let me know in the comments. And like if you guys got any like suggestions like or explanations for waking up at 4:04 exactly every night for like 2 weeks or 3:03 exactly every night for weeks, or the random different things I'm smelling, like things like if you got some explanations for it, just leave it down in the comments. Keep the comments nice. I've seen some random people I've had to block in here and show me them titties. Like, really grow up. Like, I'm married, happily married. My husband can kick your ass, probably like drink the blood from your skull. um, no, just like really, don't be a creep. Um, girls, don't be petty. Like, if you ain't got anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. If this video is too long for you and you skip through all the way to the end here to hear this part of it, like, why'd you even bother? If it's not that interesting for you, then don't waste your extra time commenting some shitty ass fucking comment. I've been getting some, like a few of those, like not a lot, because I mean, I don't have a lot. I got 11 subscribers. 11 subscribers. Thanks, guys. But really, like, think, like, hating on somebody, like actually wasting time out of your day to stop and comment to say something mean to someone, like, that's petty. But yeah, no, now I'm totally creeped out and I've managed to ramble on and say goodbye like I don't know how many times, but okay, I'm leaving now, okay? All right. See you guys next time. Bye.